It's time to take a TO with Coaches Turner and O'Neill. Produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy.
It's time to take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Your new favorite podcast features conversation from the world of high school, college, and pro sports, along with other riveting content. Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast and on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, or visit www.turnerando'neill.com. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, and more than 15 podcast platforms. We also invite you into the studio each week via YouTube. Subscribe and watch each episode on our YouTube channel at Turner O'Neill Podcast. Thanks to our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, Collins Funeral Home, and Peace Players International. And our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, Body and Beyond Wellness, and Justin O'Neill. Take a TO with Coach Turner and O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by me, DJ Krissy. Now we welcome you to today's episode as we take a TO with Coaches Steve Turner and Casey O'Neill. Here's your host, Kurtis Cross.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. I am Kurtis Cross, your host, and with me as always is Coach Steve Turner and Coach Casey O'Neill. Our engineer is DJ Krissy, and together we welcome you into the studio for this week's episode. Our premier partner for Season 2 is Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Ray is a friend of the program, and he is the only mortgage lender we endorse right here at Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Ray Cruz is Mortgage Intelligently. We'd like to thank our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and the Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. This week, we travel up 95 to Calvert Hall College High School with Coach Bryan Kelly, the head coach for Calvert Hall Lacrosse. But first, fellas, how are we doing this week? Coach Turner.
Doing awesome, man. Excited to be back in the studio with the crew. Had a great weekend of a lot of sports.
Yeah, you did. A lot of tournament finals, right?
Tournament finals galore in hoops, but lacrosse, man, getting more games on TV. So had an opportunity just to sit on the couch, veg a little bit, watch the two sports that I enjoy the most.
Send us some screenshots.
Definitely send y'all some screenshots to let you know what I'm doing.
Right.
But it's good also too with the lacrosse to see some familiar faces and some familiar names who played it pretty darn well down on I Street.
Look. Each week you say, I saw some familiar faces. You got to get used to that. You're used to that, right? There's always someone from I Street playing on a stage where you can sit back and you're walking trophies. Coach O'Neill, talk about your weekend, sir.
A lot of the same as Coach Turner. Enjoyed watching some of my guys this weekend on the U, on ESPNU. They did some Big Ten lacrosse this weekend. Yep. So we saw a little bit of Penn State and Johns Hopkins. Got a couple guys up there. Both schools saw the battle of Ohio State, Michigan. Got a couple guys playing there. Watched that Sunday. A lot of college hoops, tourney action watching that following. It was fun to watch the local Georgetown Hoyas make that run as well. And to see that and to see people all of a sudden, as I always say, don't wait to care, but all of a sudden care. Oh, dang. The Hoyas are doing this up in the Garden. But hold on, before I finish. Can we talk about the weather this weekend? The weather was off the charts. And then, of course, we wake up here on Monday and, damn, cold.
I'm wearing a sweater.
You didn't do anything about the snow, did you, Krissy? Did you?
I cannot comment.
Because I heard some comments from the weather guy saying, there might be some snowflakes this week.
That's her crossing her fingers over there. That's what that is.
And my last little bit of, so enjoying watching lacrosse, watching my guys, the college hoops. I got the second shot, so I'm with you. I got the second shot, Moderna, in the arm. Real quick story. I go in there, long wait. Very grateful just to be in there, because there's so many people deserving. And the guy sees my shirt. right? Got a Gonzaga hoop shirt on. I want to represent you, Coach Turner. It's a big day to get that shot. And he says, you're wearing the wrong shot.
Oh.
Excuse me, wrong shirt. You're wearing the wrong shirt. I might have to give you the wrong shot. And I'm like, uh-oh. He goes, yeah, I went to DeMatha.
Poor him.
Trying to represent. That's all you were trying to do.
No, he was great. Very thorough, very quick.
Poor
Boom,
him.
done. Here we go.
All right.
Yeah, we got. The other thing I was going to say, we got, it's interesting. I'm always looking to see what players from Gonzaga making the hoops tournament. We got 3 coaches advancing. Assistant at Mount St. Mary's, Matt Miller. Assistant at Hartford, Tom Devitt. And then with Georgetown, Akbar Wahid.
Akbar Wahid. He's a Purple Eagle.
Yes.
Lord. Y'all are always doing some great things. DJ Krissy, how was the weekend, young lady? This is our engineer. She's the best engineer on this side of the Mississippi. Listen, whatever you guys are listening to or watching, this is DJ Krissy's work. So when we look good, it's on her. When we look bad, we were unprepared.
Correct.
We'll never put it on her.
But we always sound good.
We always sound good.
Always.
That's DJ Krissy for you. Krissy, talk to us about your weekend.
Well, I enjoyed the weekend. It was so nice outside. I mean, as much as I love the snow, we all know I love the snow, but it was so beautiful. I just kind of sat outside this weekend and just enjoyed it, really.
Good.
And you know what?
No hike?
I did not. I'm kind of upset with myself, but you know what? It was just nice to, like you said, kind of veg.
There you go.
Sit outside, enjoy the sun, because we finally found the sun.
We definitely found the sun.
And then, like Casey said, woke up this morning, and it was a little shocking when you stepped outside.
That's DC. That's DC weather for you.
Well,
Never know, especially in March.
I hope this is the last of the cold. I hope this is the last time I have to wear a sweater in the studio until,
But you look good.
let's say, late October, hopefully. But, all right, good. Good weekend. Krissy, you have several weekends in front of you where you can get your hikes in because better weather is on the way. Look, more than 3,000 of you tuned in, watched, and listened in last week as Steve Francis joined the podcast from Tacoma Park to College Park and then on to the NBA and now in his post-NBA life. Check out episode 10 with Steve Francis on your favorite podcast platform and, of course, on YouTube. Let's hit our first break and we will be back with this week's headline.
Next Level Lacrosse. Train like a Spartan. Next Level Lacrosse is dedicated to providing a terrific lacrosse experience that is intensely focused on player development and character formation. Players at all levels will improve significantly through professional coaching and carefully designed training programs. We stress proper technique and a tireless work ethic. From beginning programs to rec leagues, travel clubs to summer programs, we develop the young and experienced players alike. Next Level Lacrosse has a rich tradition of running the best middle and high school lacrosse leagues in the DMV area. You'll find us at www.nextlevelspartans.com or call 240-497-1460.
Let's get social. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube, search Turner and O'Neill and click subscribe. Winsight Media. Winsight delivers connections and intelligence to 4 of the fastest growing verticals: convenience retailing, grocery businesses, restaurants, and non-commercial food service through broad and cutting-edge platforms. No company is better positioned to meet the food industry's needs than Winsight. Connect with us at www.winsightmedia.com.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our friends of the program: Shane Benson, Todd Bradley, Paula Cross, Susan and Brendan O'Neill Sr., Daniel Richard, Noah Richard, Andrea Terronez. If you'd like to become a friend of the program, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Become a Friend. One Headline is brought to you by
Healthy Baller is dedicated to developing athletes at any level through customized programs created by our world-class trainers. Healthy Baller creates an unparalleled training experience centered around the athlete and coach relationship. Between our physical therapy team and strength and conditioning staff, we create an all-encompassing process to help injured athletes return to the field. Become your own success story. We offer group and team training. individual workouts, or semi-private training. Call 844-622-5537 or visit healthyballer.com.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill.
Welcome back to Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill. Today's episode is brought to you by Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. This week's headline, Drew Brees calls it a career. Hollywood, jump in on this one.
First thought, I'm a little jealous.
Okay.
We're about the same age.
All right.
And it must be really nice to retire with that kind of money, spend that much time with the kids and the wife, kind of do what you want to do. He's going to get into broadcasting, and I'm sure he'll be one of those guys that jumps right in and does a great job. I think of like Tony Gonzalez. I think of Tony Romo, guys like that who are just, charismatic and will do a good job. But Drew Brees, to me, you think of the best quarterbacks. I think Tom, I think Peyton, and maybe even Aaron Rodgers, a little bit ahead of him. He might have all the numbers.
Sure.
I think talent-wise, he'll forever be remembered, and I said this on an episode before, for that run they made
Katrina, baby.
right after Katrina, and gave an area and a region so much hope. And it's amazing how sports can do that. I mean, it could bring a college together, a community. He'll always be remembered for that. He'll be remembered for the guy that went to the Chargers when Eli said no, and then they made the biggest mistake of all time by letting go of him. But I also think of guys like Chris Likes and smaller stature athletes. Talk about that heart over height or heart over size. And he always proved that. And I think whatever he did throughout his career, he was professional. I think his teammates respected him. I think he played for the other guys in that locker room. And he proved that. So God bless him. I'm just jealous.
Coach Turner, Drew Brees, that's it.
Big fan. Glad he's able to go out being able to still walk because that game is violent. And he played it with a toughness that could always put himself in position to get beat up a little bit. I would agree with you, Casey. He definitely is a guy that won the locker room, and the guys played for him as well as I believe he really played for his teammates. I'm a fan because my son's a fan.
I was going to get to that.
That's Jared's team, and so within the household, even if you're fans of different teams, you kind of look at the other team that your siblings or loved ones, whoever's rooting for, and kind of sometimes take them on when your team's not doing well. So the Saints were always kind of had my heart because of Jared's love for them, and I think he's going to be great behind the mic. He knows the game. He's got some character to him. I think people will enjoy him, and hats off to him.
As far as Drew Brees, I kind of in between you two. Even if doesn't have the gaudy presence of a Tom Brady, Tom Terrific, and all that, he played the game at a high level for a long time.
Yeah.
And you could have someone like Primetime who didn't play forever but really lit it up, right? Made the highlight reels. Or you can have a guy who slow and steady wins the race with this guy, and he's got numbers. I mean, if he's not top 5, let alone top 10, but top 5 in just about every meaningful category, I think that says something. I was never a Saints fan, but I was never a Doc Rivers fan either because he played for the Celtics. But you got to respect the game, and you've got to respect what they've done for and with the game. And Drew Brees gets, my respect. And like you said, Katrina, I mean, enough said. Enough said. That town, that state needed exactly what happened that year. And somebody was watching. Mm-hmm. Somebody was watching, and they got it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your one headline.
Be sure to listen now at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill. Gene the Barber has been in the business of making you look good for more than 20 years. Kids cuts, adult cuts, men and women, Gene has the experience and style you're looking for. Contact Gene the Barber for an appointment by calling him direct, 240-687-7253. Our producer uses Gene the Barber and he's available for your next barbershop visit as well. Call 240-687-7253 and tell him Turner and O'Neill sent you.
A Squared Home and Office Solutions is the go-to source for home or office network and audiovisual solutions. We can help with smart home integration, wireless networking, media rooms, security systems, and more. We will link technology to your style seamlessly. Visit homeandofficesolutions.com for more info.
The Starting Five is brought to you by Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. With a stellar reputation as an outstanding mortgage lender, Ray Cruz serves the lending needs of real estate professionals, builders, and individual home buyers in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Texas, California, Florida, Illinois, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Ray believes that integrity is the cornerstone of his business, and helping you achieve your home financing goals is his business. Located in the heart of Bethesda, Maryland, contact Ray P. Cruz today to get started. Your home mortgage or refinance options await. Call 301-761-2278 or visit raypcruz.com. Ray P. Cruz, mortgages intelligently.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill. The Starting Five. Welcome back to Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill. I'm your host, Kurtis Cross, and with me, as always, is Coach Turner, Coach Casey O'Neill, and of course, our engineer is DJ Krissy. We are up to our weekly Starting Five. 5 questions asked of each coach. They've never heard these questions, and they each have 30 seconds to answer each question. If they go over their 30 seconds, DJ Krissy, what will happen? Gentlemen, let's do it. Coach O'Neill, you are on the clock first. You pick the city. You pick the major professional sport. Where would you elect to add an expansion team? Across any major sport.
Ooh, baby. You know what? I'm going to go with hockey because here's why. I'm not a good math guy, but I'm a numbers guy. And they are at an odd number. So it's driving me crazy. When you have these divisions, and the North Division only has like seven teams. Everyone else has got 8 teams. So I'm going to go up into the great north of Canada, and I think they need a team back up in Quebec.
Like the old Nordiques?
The old Nordiques.
The old Nordiques?
Something up there. And I know that's not the answer. I'd love to see. Oh, ding me. Go for it. Boom.
Coach Turner.
I need it even.
You need it to be even. It's got a line. Oh, Coach Turner, where are you putting teams? Soccer or, any major sport?
I don't know.
More Vegas?
That's a good question. That is a great question.
Bring the Sonics back.
That's where I'm. That's where I'm going. Yeah.
You want to see the Supersonics or just the Sonics?
I want to see the Supersonics. I want to see a little Rain Man.
The
KD.
The glove.
Peyton, GP.
The glove.
Come on, we can make
Locking
it
them down.
Ray Allen. Let's bring it all back.
Who was the big Dutch dude? Oh man,
the Flying Dutchman, Rick Smith.
That's Rick Smith. No,
Rick Smith was a pacer.
Yeah, he was a pacer.
No, but I know you're talking.
Detlef Schrempf.
Detlef Schrempf.
Yes.
Detlef. Okay.
Detlef Schrempf. There's my starting 5 right there.
He's Dutch, right? He's somewhere.
There's my starting 5 right there.
All right.
Detlef Schrempf, the Rain Man, KD,
the glove,
Ray Allen, and the glove.
You got it. All right.
That's a nice team.
That's a hell of a team right there, brother.
We're coming back to you, sir. Which of the home chores would you just assume never do again?
He's taking all his time on this one.
I am. Busting suds.
You don't like washing dishes.
Done over it.
KP duty is not for you.
I'm done busting suds.
Coach O'Neill, home chores that you don't want to do.
Cleaning up dog hair.
Hey, man, you bought the dog.
No, I'm going to go with. See, I don't mind dishes. I don't mind it so much. And my wife is an incredible
I'll
cook.
wash clothes. I'll do all that. But
no,
I don't want to bust
Okay.
sides.
I'm not good at folding laundry. I'll do it. But Eric, she's great at everything. But to me, what I think is crazy is splitting the colors. Whites and your darks. I just stuff them all in there, man. Just let it ride. Hey, let's gamble, right? Let's just roll the dice.
Are you back on a campus dorm again? You just throw them all in the same load?
Don't get me started.
So you bleached a lot of clothes.
No, because it's fine.
His reds are with the whites, with the purples.
You wear them a few times. You wash them a few times.
You turned a lot of white T-shirts
Let it
into
ride.
pink.
Right?
No, that's just the sweat off my back working out.
They're all tie-dye now, messing with him.
Just let it ride.
I'm coming back to you. The worst trouble you remember getting into as a kid.
Okay, because I'm glad it's not as an adult. We're not answering that one. The worst trouble I got into as a child. Oh man, it's got to be something in school.
I'll tell you mine. Mine was,
Yes, go for it.
I am driving down the street on Franklin Avenue, getting ready to hit Eastern. Right, so I'm at Franklin University. I'm chilling with my boy Jose. My mom pulls up behind me. Kurtis doesn't have a driver's license. Mom sees me. And I do everything I can when that light turns green to go left and go towards Four Corners and just get away from her. And she'll talk to you about it from this. Ask her that next time you see her. Wow. She'll tell you that story.
I think I've been there and done that, but my parents listen to this episode, or all these episodes. So worst, probably something in school, just saying something stupid, just detention or something like that. That's my answer. Pass it over to Steve. I got a lot going on in this brain.
Steve Turner, Coach Turner.
Worst trouble?
Yeah.
I got it.
I got a bunch, but I think the one that sucked the most was having to tell a young lady that I could not take her to homecoming because I had gotten in trouble because the teacher called home on me. That was worse than having like a punishment.
Right.
or getting your butt whipped.
You got to face up.
Like to have to make that call, like talking about like 2 days from the day, to have to tell a young lady you can't take her to homecoming because you got in trouble in school.
You got one?
At the beach with some buddies underneath the boardwalk. Buddy of mine, kids shouldn't be under the boardwalk ever for any reason.
Right.
He friend of mine will remain nameless. He had back then what looked like somebody thought that he had a pistol under there.
Uh-oh.
So before you know it, not much going on in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Choppers, the Baywatch guys are coming in, the bike cops and everything, and we were frisked up. Oh yeah, I mean it was like Miami Vice or NCIS going on. It was bad, and he got in some trouble. There were some things that we shouldn't have been doing at the time. So
did you wet your britches? You wet your britches, didn't you?
I was calm and cool. I didn't get in much trouble as my two buddies, and they know
who shall remain nameless.
Nameless.
All right.
Because
we're protecting IDs here.
One of them's dad drove from Washington down to the beach the next morning, and we were supposed to be there for the week, with my family. And
oh no, not that week.
Nope. Picked him up, and I said, "That was the ride home." He said, "We went about an hour and a half until he heard, what the." Do you think you're doing? Oh, man. Boy. Yep. Remember that like yesterday.
All right. Coach Turner, choose the one athlete who in their prime would age no more. They could forever play in their chosen sport. Who do you want to see play forever?
MJ, so we can stop all this damn nonsense about him and LeBron.
That's a good one.
Is that like the fastest answer ever on the starting five?
That was...
Yes.
Took my answer.
Okay.
He took my answer, but I'll go to a different sport. I'd love to see somebody like a Jim Brown today. I'd love to see him playing and running and going against the linebackers and the DBs and the speed that there is. But man, he'd be pretty cool. And we've mentioned this before on the show. If he was on the lacrosse field, see him run through.
You'd like to see that as well, huh?
Yes, Jim Brown was something else, man.
This is a spin off that question. You know what? I always wonder, Len Bias, what if?
Oh yeah.
I'd love to have seen him play.
That would be cool.
That's a great one.
Would love to have seen him play, not necessarily in the Celtics uniform, although that's where he was drafted, but would like to have seen that.
And I think about some golfers too. I mean, Arnold Palmer today, or like a Ben Hogan, one of those guys going up against Tiger Woods, or some of these big hitters, and how they would fare today.
How their game would evolve, or whatever. Yeah. So now
So
this is it.
This is it.
Which sports media voice can you live without? Chris Webber for me.
That's a good.
And Bill Walton for me.
You killed mine.
Sorry, I'm trying to get those
Bill
words
Walton,
back.
I cannot listen to him. I Pac-12 games. I turn it on mute.
I'm over the Troy Aikman right now. Troy Aikman's just kind of.
He's a Cowboy, so I never like listening to him.
Yeah, but
Or Romo.
Tony does a good job.
He's a Cowboy.
He does a good job. I love me some Gus Johnson. I love me Jim Nance. I think.
Who's your favorite?
Probably. I like Nance. I think Nance is awesome.
Right.
Vern's pretty good too. Vern Lundquist. I mean, but that's it. But I could do without Aikman.
When I was coming up as a coach, I listened to a lot of Hubie Brown because he broke everything down. But I can't say his name. He does the TNC games, West Coast games with Reggie Miller. I can't say his name.
Gus Johnson.
No. NBA on TNC. He's my favorite. Anyway, who's your favorite?
Clark Kellogg.
Clark Kellogg, yes.
I also love our local Beninati and Craig Laughlin with the Caps. I think they're fantastic.
Who am I thinking of?
Doc Emmer's another good hockey one.
Kevin Harlan. Kevin Harlan, he's my favorite.
Kevin's great.
Yeah, Kevin Harlan is my favorite.
You well, I don't want to say you're happy, but you're lucky.
Okay.
Bill Walton.
That
Chris
bias
Webber
passed and Reggie Lewis, because your Lakers would be ashamed because the Celtics would have won a few more championships.
We got 17 though.
They would have won a few.
We
more.
got 17.
They would be right there with you.
That's cool. No, they are with us. We had to catch them.
Yeah.
We were at 16. They're at 17.
They would have you.
They'd have
You
20.
trailing. Yes, definitely three more championships. Because they would have let Bird, his career last a couple more years.
Yeah, definitely. He'd had a heck of a bench to come in and support him and take some miles off that body. His back was bad, you know.
Yep.
You know all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your starting five.
Peace.
The starting five. O'Neill Development is a custom builder in Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and the Eastern Shore. Recognized nationally as a premier builder, O'Neill Development has received awards for historic restoration and urban infill work. Committed to best practices in green building, O'Neill Development also provides support in budgeting, architect selection, and design development during the critical stages of planning. O'Neill Development, building, remodeling, and development since 1975. Find us at www.o'neilldev.com or call 301-840-9310.
Body and Beyond Wellness is acupuncture and wellness consulting. Our peaceful oasis is nestled just outside the Washington, D.C. Beltway. Our acupuncture treatments, workshops, and other wellness offerings will have you feeling restored, renewed, and revived. A limited appointment schedule is now available, but you must call in advance to schedule. Call 301-758-7980 or visit www.thebodyandbeyond.com for more info. This segment of Take It To Yo with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by...
From Washington, D.C. to Ocean City, Woodbridge to Columbia, Richmond to Virginia Beach, the hottest DJs are right here. The Mid-Atlantic Professional DJ Association.
Current social distancing does not allow for event gatherings in the traditional sense. When it's time to plan your bar bat mitzvah, office party, sweet 16, or any event, we've got your party solution. Dynamic DJ Entertainment is your virtual event experts. Our virtual events division has perfected an entertainment experience like none other. We bring the celebration to you. Contact us for virtual trivia, office parties, nightclub nights, or any event. Dynamic DJ Entertainment is your virtual event solution. Visit www.mapdja.com or call 301-942-4500.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It To Yo with Turner and O'Neill.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is a fixture of success with the Calvert Hall Lacrosse program in Baltimore. Graduating scores of players into the Division I ranks, Coach Bryan Kelly most recently led his Cardinals to their third straight lacrosse championship in what many say is the toughest division in all of America, the MIAA. Here to take a TO with us today, please welcome Coach Bryan Kelly. Coach, we want to thank you for joining us today. How's it going, sir?
Things are great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, I think you know who we have on the line.
Brian, Casey O'Neill here. Really appreciate you joining us on this podcast. Now, I got to give a quick backstory. So I've known Coach Kelly for a few years now, just through lacrosse. He's one of the guys that I idolize. I think he does an amazing, amazing job. And when I texted you, I'm sure you thought, wait, you're doing a podcast? You're probably thinking, what's going on down there on I Street? But it's one of the products of when everything shut down last year. Myself and our basketball coach, started this podcast, and we're talking about guests and great people. And I said, we got to get you on. So I hope you're doing well, my friend.
Thanks. I appreciate you thinking of me. I feel the same about you, Casey. I've always admired what you guys do and how your team plays. Obviously, you're, in my opinion, one of the best coaches in the country, and it's a pleasure to compete against you guys whenever we get to. It's always fun.
Thank you.
Coach Kelly, Coach Turner here. Just want to say thank you for
How you doing, Coach?
I'm great. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know Lax is in play right now, and we're excited to have you as a guest with us today.
It's good to be here. Yeah, we just finished practice and, getting the time to recoup and get ready for our first scrimmage tomorrow.
Well, Coach, finding and maintaining the success in the MIAA is no easy task, but with your Calvert Hall program, your teams have consistently found their way into the top of the mix each year. Where does that come from?
I think it comes from a lot of failure beforehand, to be honest with you. Just, not a lot of failure, but I think we built our program from learning from things that didn't work or seeing how we got beaten in the past and making the proper adjustments and changes as a program of what you needed to do culture-wise. And, we really focus heavily on the mind, the mental aspect of the game, mental aspect of the student-athlete. We work heavily hard in the weight room physically, and then we just kind of are consistent to what our core values are as a program. And, the number one quality we look for in a kid is, are you a good teammate? And if you're not a good teammate, you can't play at Calvert Hall.
Coach, Casey here. So speaking of those core values, you mentioned culture, you mentioned the mind, but if you could take it a step further. So each season, you and I know it's a different pulse, it's a different heartbeat. There's new kids. You're building to that season, and you never know how kids are going to react to different coaching, and so that changes. But talk a little bit more about the mainstay of your philosophy, like what those exact core principles are.
From a mental aspect, it's very process oriented. We never talk about winning. We never talk about championships. We talk about being the best that you can be each and every day. And we focus on the process. And example in the 2019 when we won our third championship, everybody was talking about, you guys could be the first team to three-peat. And really, I never talked about winning. And that game, leading up to the playoffs, I said, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And I really just shared a story with the guys from the gospel about how, Jesus was walking on water and the disciples saw him. And and Peter asked if he could come out and walk on water during the storm. And Peter did. He walked out on water. And when he started focusing on Christ, he stood on the water. But when he focused on the storm and all the distractions, he sunk.
Yep.
And it was the same as I shared with our guys. I'm like, listen, if we focus on winning and trying to win a championship or three-peat, we're going to sink. But if we just focus on what we're supposed to do each and every day, each and every preparation, each and every day on that field, who's going to get the next ground ball, good play, next play, bad play, next play. We really try to get our kids to play with freedom, and not with fear. and we use the term play with joy. And something that we stress with our guys is to pick one or two things to be thankful for each time you step out on the field, and just be thanking God for every moment that you got. And so, that's kind of what the core of where we are. And so we just really emphasize that aspect of staying focused. And I learned it in a loss. We lost to Conestoga in 2012. It was probably my most talented team, and I was working with a sports psychologist, and we were winning 10-5, and they went on a run. We called a timeout. It was just going in the fourth quarter, and they started pressuring us, and our kids just fell apart, and they just couldn't handle the pressure, and they came back and won the game. And we were, in my opinion, we should not have lost the game, but we did. And the first thing we looked at was ourselves as coaches. Did we coach a bad game? And we felt like we coached a good game. And then to make a long story short, the next day at practice, I didn't practice. I just asked the kids to write down 3 things they were thinking about when the storm came. And in that year, every kid had and then we tallied all the responses, and we looked at them wrote them up on the board, and came back. And the third most popular is like, what will people say in school around the rankings and things like that. The second thing was social media. What would they say? And the number one was, what will my parents say? And we only had one kid who was thinking about, I had to get the next ground ball. And so that's when I realized, through help of sports psychologists, we were a very outcome-focused team. We weren't processed. We weren't thinking about the next play. And some kids were like, here we go again, because the previous year we lost to Gilman in the championship. And ended up after that loss is when we really started very much, if you look throughout the process, humility. We want our kids to be, we really stress, like, be who God created you to be. Just do what you do without having to say anything, without having to prove anything. Just be who you are and play the way you play. And it's my job to figure out where to put you in the pieces, and get you into the right spots that utilize your gifting offensively or defensively or whatever, and that's just kind of where it was. And I think in 2012, that loss really solidified where we try to emphasize on as a program.
Great answer. Appreciate that.
Coach Kelly, Coach Turner here. I had a chance to meet you up at Calvert Hall at a FCA tryout. My son's a lacrosse player. He's a hoops guy first, awesome. but he also plays lacrosse. He was with Crabs at the time and was thinking about coming over to play for you guys. But one of the things that I really enjoyed in listening to you talk to the kids, you speak to your faith a lot, and you just, in your answer from Casey's question, you spoke a lot to your faith. Talk to us about how much that plays a role in how you work with and manage with the kids, and how much that plays a part into your coaching.
Well, I mean, the only reason I look at coaching as my ministry. I'm not perfect, and I really wish FCA was called the Fellowship of Imperfect Athletes. I think people think, we're the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. How dare they hit my kid late? How dare that kid use bad language? Well, they're kids, we're trying to work through it, and so I'm not perfect either. And so, but that's why I've coached. It's my ministry, and I'll never forget, in college, my faith became real to me, because my identity was wrapped up in lacrosse. My whole significance was how I performed, where I was on the depth chart. My goals were to be, the man or whatever it may be. And so if I had a bad day, my mood was bad. If I had a good day, I was good, So I realized that was not a good place to build my foundation on. And so I heard a talk in college at FCA where someone said that a coach can have more of an impact on a kid than their parents. And then I was like, wow, I want to coach, because I had some great coaches and I had some really bad coaches. And I really wanted to coach to help impact kids and help them to grow as players, but more importantly, to grow as people. And I don't force my faith on them. I just kind of try to live it. And, it's nice to coach at a Catholic school where we can talk about our faith and pray before games and pray after games and give thanks. But, that's the main reason why I am coaching.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, First of all, you're amazingly consistent because I read your article in U.S. Lacrosse Magazine, and you're speaking to some of those very things almost word for word. So I can appreciate how consistent you are, which means you believe in what you're talking about here. But I've read that leadership within your program, especially with players taking the responsibility, is a key to running Calvert Hall's success. How important is it to you for your players to take ownership of this effort?
It's huge. It's their team, right? And one of the areas that I have a heavy concern with losing a year in the pandemic is more's caught than taught. And, we've had great leaders, and it just has been passed down the culture. And a lot of these kids missed how our guys would lead in the middle of a season, how they would handle the storm, how they would handle adversity, how they handle success. So, but we talk about servant leadership, and I go through a book with our every group of captains called The Way of the Shepherd, and it goes over the how to be a leader, a servant leader, and that is really the critical part of our team, because if you look at a monarchy, right, or something of that nature, back in the day, you had rulers that thought the people were there to serve them, and then you would have rulers who thought they were there to serve and protect the people. And our seniors and our leaders are there to serve the team and the kids and the freshmen, and our seniors take the freshmen to the workouts. Our seniors get the freshmen to where they need to go. Our seniors get the ball. Our seniors get the goals. And then as the season goes on, the younger kids start getting it and going it and doing it. So like the other day, we had a ball hunt, and our best players are the ones getting all the balls. And all these young 9th, 10th graders are like sitting in the middle. And I'm like, look around, see who's getting the balls. Like, and they're like, whoa. And then they started getting the balls, and it just kind of builds off of it.
Wow. Yeah.
Brian, so I love that part about the seniors. We always say, or at least we say to the families at the beginning of the year, our season, we will be as good as our seniors want us to be collectively, not just a few, but collectively. Mm-hmm. But I want to get back to leadership. So you're a great leader. You're building young men to become leaders of the program and in this society. But who does Bryan Kelly lean on? Who are your leaders? Who do you look up to?
I lean on my wife a lot because she's tough, and she'll, keep going.
Oh, that's great.
Gets me going. I think a lot I learned from Dave Huntley. He was my best friend and assistant who passed. I take a lot of what he has. I learn a lot from Dr. Jared Spencer, who's the sports psychologist who I lean on. And then I just kind of have my coaches that I lean on. And my father is a great leader and who's someone who has an impact on all of our lives. And he's really taught us a lot and just showed us really that every human being is important and valued, and that we value each and every player on our team. And so, and then also my faith, just watching, reading and learning and seeing how the people from the Old Testament, New Testament, or just throughout the world, how they lead. It's impressive. And I like watching certain coaches and learning from them. And I just love to learn, and I know I have so much to learn, and if I have an opportunity to listen to a coach or hear a podcast or listen to someone's perspective, I want to hear it.
Awesome.
Coach, I'm going to give you a tough one. In the game of lacrosse, we've got attack, middies, defensemen, and then the best line of defense, our goalie. Name one guy from each of those levels that has played for you that you would call them the captain of that level, who's played for you in your career of coaching, and tell me one characteristic about each which made them be that person.
Ooh,
it's a good question. I've had some really incredible players. It's very
I know that's why this is a tough one, but I wanted to hear it. And as a disclaimer for Coach Kelly, the players who don't get named, that doesn't mean he doesn't love you.
Right. Well, there's and some of them are my kids, so I can't. Can I say them? Then I'm pick one over the other. I'm in trouble, man. I'm in trouble.
If they're on that line, and they're the guy, it's okay.
I can't.
You can name them both.
Okay, in the goal. Let me think who I would pick. Gosh.
Coach Turner, this is a tough question, man. You're putting Coach on the spot here.
I admire Coach Kelly, so I'd love to hear about these guys.
I'm going to pick Jeremy Blevins.
Okay, it's a good one.
He played at UMBC. I don't think a lot of people know him. He's about 5'7". All I know is if I was in a fight, he'd be the first guy I'd want in the foxhole with me.
There you go.
Because I know he wouldn't back down. So I've had a lot of great goalies, but he was just one of those guys that helped us win our first one in 2003 and just was amazing. Defensively, you could go with Garrett Epple. You could go with Evan Connell, but I have to go with my long pole, Tyler Mays. I publicly admitted in front of the whole team I have a man crush on Tyler Mays because Mays was the one that he's that guy where Casey, you'll appreciate. He was a 5'7" little long pole guy. He was unreal. No college coaches recruited him. He was the only guy who in 2012 said, I was focusing on getting the next ground ball or the next stop. And he just had a motor. And I called every ACC school, Big Ten school, you name it. I was calling them or whoever. No one wanted him because of his size. I called Coach Nadalin at Towson, told him about him. He took him, and he ended up being a first-team All-American in college. So just shows you. So he represents Calvert Hall. Like, he has that effort motor. Maybe not have the wow factor from looking at him, and he's not going to be the first guy off the bus type of kid, but he here's a little fact. I'm sure Deemer class won't appreciate it, but Tyler Mays, Deemer class never scored a goal against Calvert Hall at Loyola, from what I understand. Tyler Mays was his kryptonite, and Deemer class is an unbelievable player, great person, but Tyler Mays is just that type of guy. Midfield-wise, I'll go face-off wise. I'd have to say my nephew Stephen Kelly. He's in the PLL still right now, Bones. He was not a fogo. He was a complete player. He could face off, score, do everything, and just had a toughness about him.
Total beast.
Midfield wise, I'd have to say Cole Herbert. He was at Carolina. He's a freshman there. It's hard to pick. There's so many, but Cole was just such a great athlete, and he was the best passing midfielder I've ever coached. So that says a lot about him. But he was a kid who was an alpha dog who I put on the bench a lot. I benched him a lot. And I was probably hardest of him than any midfielder because his intentions were always good, but he could go on his own agenda sometimes that would affect the team. And he had to understand, like, walking away from a fight was being a good teammate than getting into the fight.
My kind of guy.
So that guy I had to really kind of rein in. Look, I say attack. I say, Kevin Huntley was one of the best. But I'm going to be a dad here, and I'm going to be very biased, but I'm going to go. I have one here now, but I think what I love about I get to say Ryan Brown, too. I mean, he was amazing. And I'm going to be a homer, and I know people will give me crap for it. That's fine. But I'm going to say Jacob and Daniel, both my kids. Mm-hmm. And the reason why, it is really hard to be a coach's kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
And my son, Chewy, and people have no idea. They get so much crap. If you heard the things people said to them on the field and so forth and so on, I would say Jacob is the smartest player I've ever coached. He was a quarterback on the field. He was the guy who could care less if he scored a goal or not. He just wanted to win. And some of his best games were games where he didn't have any points. I can guarantee you no one knows that he was a 2-time player of the year in Baltimore because he could care less, and he was just very quiet. My son Daniel's the opposite. He's like he's not going to brag about himself, but Daniel's he always took one for the team, because I would be like, look, we need you to be off ball. I don't need you to dodge this. We're going to run this because you're going to do this. And he just had a way about him of making things happen. And he just is a winner. He never lost. He won every year. He was a champion on every Calvert Hall team. He played soccer, never lost. It just had this winning mentality. And, I do think his senior year, it was probably the most talented team I had. But I can't not say my kids. So that's just the way it is.
I love it.
Sorry about that. But
No, don't be sorry. Don't ever be sorry for that, Coach. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah, because Steve's currently coaching his son Jared, who plays lacrosse, but he's coaching him in hoops. And Jared's 6'7", and look, the profile of basketball down in DC and the WCAC. I mean, he's been through it. My son graduated a few years ago, and we've been there. But again, the fact that you were that proud of them, and look, they've earned it too. We've scrimmaged you every year. I know how damn good your boys are, and your nephew, everybody in that family. But I want to get back to parenting real quick, Brian, if I can, and just not to put you on the spot.
And let me just say one thing.
Go ahead.
I would have picked them even if they weren't.
Oh, for sure,
Just so you know, I picked them because even if they never played a second, I still would pick them because they're my kids.
But I'm also an opposing coach, and I'm raising a hand in the studio. I'm like, they're damn good. I mean, those kids work hard. They're good kids. But so, Brian, real quick, what is your philosophy? Day one, parent shows up, freshman year at Calvert Hall. My son wants to play lacrosse. What is your philosophy with the parents? I'm not talking about coaching your kids, but with the parents that entrust you, a couple do's and don'ts that you set forth right off the bat.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the number one thing I say to parents is, look, it's time for your kids to learn how to advocate for themselves. Okay, so I have one hard, fast rule that if a parent contacts me regarding playing time before their child contacts me, he's not playing in the next game. Period.
And it doesn't have to be cryptic, even if it's cryptic. You know what I mean? They try to work around it.
It's like, look, I will tell you, I had one moment I was on the practice field and I'm walking off the field and this father's like steaming and he's waiting there and I know he wanted to talk to me. And he goes, Mr. Kelly, Coach Kelly, can I talk to you after practice? And I said, sure, what's it about? He goes, I want to talk to you about my son. I'm not going to say his name. I said, okay, yeah. So I go in the coach's room and I pull his son into my office. I said, hey, Pat, your dad wants to talk to me. Just giving you a heads up. If he talks to me about playing time, before you have come talk to me about playing time, you're not playing in the next game. So you might want to find out what he wants to talk to me about. And if it's about playing time, I'm just giving you the heads up because, wherever it was. So he comes back in, he goes, you don't have to talk to my dad. I took care of it. I was like, all right, great. So I just, but I will tell you, but I do know, in case Coach Turner, kids, when you pull them in and they come and ask you, what is it I need to do to play, or where do I need to go? What am I not doing right? And you share it with them and you talk it. They hear just 20% of it, right? So they're going to go home and their dad or their mom's going to say, what did he say? What did he say? And he could say this and this. And I do not have a problem if a parent calls me after the kid sees me.
Yeah.
And I'll be happy to explain it. Just don't call me first. Have your kid come see me first. Because, you have hard conversations with kids and they don't hear all of it, and they just hear a little bit of it.
Yep.
So that's that's the hardest rule I have. I also, I do have our sports psychologists come in and talk to the parents every 2 years, and talk to them about how to be a parent of an athlete. And the sad part of it is the parents that need to hear it never come, and the parent that doesn't need to hear it always comes.
Right.
So it's like if you're that parent and you're sitting here listening, I don't need to hear that sports psychologist. Yes, you do. You're the one who needs to listen to it. So that's that. I look in the stands. I'm like, I cannot believe that guy's not here. Because it's really to help the kids and to help all of them. And even my philosophy of coaching my own kids, I never coached my kids. I had Dave Huntley in charge of my kids. He could start them. He could bench them. He would talk to them. I never talked to him. Yeah. I learned, like, when they come home, I don't talk to them about lacrosse. Whenever we had a lacrosse discussion, I'd go outside and I'd take them out to the driveway and we'd talk outside. Because when they're in the house, I want it to be their home, not our locker room.
Yep.
You know, and if I wanted to talk to them about lacrosse, I would say, hey, can I talk to you about lacrosse? And you know, and then we'd either go outside or go somewhere else, you know, to have a conversation. So it's not easy, and it's really hard, as you know, to be a coach's son. It is really hard. And I mean, people have no clue. It's difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen to that.
Coach.
Yeah, people are mean.
Yes. That's so true. The things that I hear my son hears from others, it's disgusting, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yep.
Coach, tell us the best advice that you got from one of your mentors that you believe has helped you in coaching today.
That's a great question, too. I've had so many great bits of advice. I would say, number one, like, love your kids, love the players, love them. And that doesn't mean you're easy on them. I'm tough, you know, but they know I'll be there for them and I care for them, right? And I think the best advice that I really got from somebody, again, was like understanding and knowing that these kids are kids and that we need to protect their minds of what the enemy tries to do. And he tries to fill their minds with lies. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not this enough. And I call it the demon of doubt, right? Mm-hmm. And if you ever watch a kid play, you know when they have the demon of doubt in their mind. You can see it in their body language. Yeah. And it's tough. And you got to give kids the freedom to fail and the freedom to succeed. And you got to let them play. And that doesn't mean if they're not doing things the right way, you're going to have to bench them, right? But at the end of the day, you got to help build their mind to understand that they are loved, that God loves you no matter what. And like, I'll share, and I don't want to get preachy, but the greatest commandment is to love your Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. The part that no one ever talks about is love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you can't love somebody else. Mm-hmm. And we need to help these kids. They're worthy of being loved and that they're good. But all they hear is these lies in social media, and they go on Instagram and they look at pictures and like, gosh, that kid's getting recruited. That kid's always happy. And then they get these things that are in their minds. And the biggest issue facing us today with this COVID situation is mental illness. The amount of depression among student athletes, among students, period, is an all-time high. Suicide rate is 100% higher than it was in 2019. 100%. Mm. You know, if you look at the mortality rate from 2019 to 2020, it only increased 57,000 lives. And that's with COVID. But no one talks about the mental health of these kids. No one, they give it the lip service, but they're trying to figure out every way to shut seasons down instead of not let seasons happen. Yep. And, you know, that's the biggest issue for me is from advice is to help these kids with their mental, their mind, and help them, you know, develop as young men. And that's the part of why I'm coaching. And I'll be honest, I'm like angry about the lack of common sense from our world right now when it comes to this whole thing. And the people who are paying the price are the young kids.
Yep.
No doubt.
Yep. Preach, Coach. Appreciate it.
Coach, one thing I've learned about you by reading a lot of interviews and this sort of thing is that for you, it's more than just lacrosse. Lacrosse is not who these young men are. So I just want to thank you for that. It's more than just lacrosse. It's building young men because, you know, we've all talked about this before. There are young men on your team who won't play lacrosse after Calvert Hall. Or maybe they'll play D1, D2, D3, but maybe there's not a next step for them, and you're building fine young men of character. So I just want to thank you. You don't know me. I don't know you. I'm sure through these guys, I'll meet you one day, but now I've got to go watch some Calvert Hall. Sorry, Casey. I've got to go watch some Calvert Hall lacrosse.
You do. They're starting earlier than we are. So we're starting in mid-April, but you want to see the Cardinals get after it.
All right. So, look, we're going to finish this thing up with some fun. We have something here called the Starting Five. I asked Coach Turner and Coach O'Neill 5 questions that they've never heard before. They each have 30 seconds to answer, and if they go over their 30 seconds, DJ Krissy will let them know by sounding the bell. Now, I'm only going to ask you one question, Coach, but you're going to be on the clock. My question to you is as follows. You're going to coach in a nationally televised championship game. The broadcast network is requiring that you choose a song as they introduce you onto the field. So what song does Coach Kelly choose for his theme music?
That's a great song. All right, I'm thinking the song, I could either go U2 there. I'm going to go...
You got With or Without You?
By, no, I'm not going to go there. Shoot. I'll go one, U2.
That's my favorite band, Coach. My favorite brand. We're talking Pride in the Name of Love, With or Without You, Bullet the Blue Sky. We can go wherever you want to. Sunday, Bloody Sunday. I love them all.
Yeah, man. It's my, U2's my favorite band, but there's so many, like, it's funny. I really listen to Christian music before every game to try to keep myself mellow and in pace and in my right perspective. So I was trying to think of a song that I really love, but I couldn't come to mind. But you can never go wrong with U2.
Never.
So
There you go.
one is a great.
Well, you're talking to a dad whose daughter rocks a retro Joshua Tree T-shirt. So I'm real happy. And she's only 12. So look.
I took my kids to the last U2 tour. I was like, you're going. And I took them all to a U2 concert. And then the Lumineers opened up, and I'm like, gosh, they're awesome. And so now I'm a Lumineers fan, too. So.
Okay, so, Coach, I've got to tell you this then. So I met my wife for the first time in person in the parking lot of Three Rivers Stadium. Three Rivers Stadium is now Heinz Field. So years later, we've been married for years. I take my daughter and my wife to Heinz Field to see U2 in that Joshua Tree tour that you're talking about with the Lumineers opening up.
Yeah.
And me and my wife got to stand in the same spot where we met with my daughter wearing her Joshua Tree T-shirt. So these guys here can't appreciate that. You can appreciate that.
No. Hey, listen, man, I love music. I love Broadway shows. I take the Calvert Hall team to every year to play at Calvert Hall when they have it because of the talent and just understanding Broadway. But, like, U2, no one has a better voice than Bono. No one does.
There you go. Coach Kelly, we appreciate your time in joining us today. Of course, we wish you continued success. How can our listeners connect with Calvert Hall Lacrosse? You've got Instagram and Twitter. Please tell our listeners how they can connect with you.
I wish I knew the names, but we do have Instagram and Twitter. I think it's Cardinal Lacrosse on Instagram and the same on Twitter, but I don't know the handles of them.
They'll find it.
I'm very social media, like.
I've got Coach. I've got you. It's Calvert Hall Lacrosse on Instagram. It's Calvert Hall College on Instagram as well. So they can find you, Coach. I'm gonna hook you up with the Instagram. I won't let them know.
You're the man. Appreciate it,
ladies and gentlemen. Taking a TO with us today, the head coach of lacrosse at Calvert Hall College High School, Mr. Bryan Kelly.
Thanks, Brian. Have a
Brian,
good week.
Thank you so much. Good luck this week.
Thanks for having me on.
You got it,
sir.
Man.
Thank you, sir.
Talk to you. See you, Case.
See you, Brian. Thank you.
You know, we have these familiar themes with all these great coaches we bring on here, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Krissy, let's have a word from our sponsors. Building your brand is an important part of your business growth. By advertising with Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill, you'll gain the exposure and brand recognition behind our podcast. In Season 1, we reached a total of more than 100,000 listeners, viewers, subscribers, and website visitors combined. Your company will benefit from our popularity online and during the podcast. Advertising with Turner and O'Neill equals exposure on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and more than 15 listening platforms total. Inquire today and let's partner to build your brand.
Let's get social. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube. Search Turner and O'Neill and then click subscribe. This segment of Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by
Ray P. Cruz, Mortgages Intelligently. We invite your questions, comments, and show ideas. Simply go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Submit Your Idea.
the Tamara Cusick Team. Ready, set, sold. Real estate is more than just houses. It's about people too. The Tamara Cusick Team offers an all-inclusive approach, making the home buying and selling process efficient, financially smart, and stress-free for you. From home prep-up to complimentary staging, expert counsel to an experienced and qualified team of professionals, let's chat houses. The Tamara Cusick Team isn't just a partner. They literally sold us the home where the Take It to Yo broadcasts from each week. Visit www.tamara4homes, that's the number 4.com, or call 301-780-4663.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill. We are back with Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill. Thanks for listening and watching as we enjoy meeting you here each week. Gentlemen, clearly Coach Kelly has built a culture that while wins create the headlines for him, it's more than MIAA trophies. Coach O'Neill.
Look, the MIAA, it is the SEC of football, college lacrosse. It is the WCAC basketball, not college lacrosse, of high school lacrosse, up there with the Long Island conferences. And we play in an area with the IEC and the WCAC. I mean, we've got some incredible teams, but to win 3 in a row in that conference it's
That's something, huh?
beyond tough to do. And what was so interesting to hear Bryan say, and you brought up a good point before we went to break, Kurtis, is the consistency we've heard with great coaches, whether it was Coach Q, whether it was Christy Winter. I mean, whatever coach we spoke to, they're great coaches because they get the inside out. They get to the kids more about how tough they can make them, but at the same time, sort of respecting themselves and believing in themselves.
Building character kids.
Right, and believing in themselves. And that's the number one thing I took from him is that, while these kids are so consumed with the outside world, they're so consumed with the Instagram and the Twitter and who's going where doing this, and him just saying, you can control what you can control. Mm-hmm. You've got to worry about yourself. You've heard me say it before, you can't help others unless you help yourself. And then believing in themselves. And I just mentioned off air, we talk about the depth chart and his team. He went to the second and third wave of players. They're all badass. They're
starting somewhere else.
They're all working their tails off and making you remember them when they get on the lacrosse field. And that comes from the culture he built. That comes from every single one of them believing in themselves. Great coach up there. And, Baltimore's finest up there with the Calvert Hall Cardinals.
I've read several coaching books, but there are 2 that come to mind that he has paralleled. John Wooden and Morgan Wooten.
Yeah.
And they both talk about at some point in their book where they don't discuss the wins so much. It's not about winning the next game. If we put everything together, the results will take care of themselves. And it sounds like he's not as worried about talking about the wins or the championships and all of that. And somehow they find themselves mixed up to the top.
Yeah.
It reminds me of when you saw Adam after he played a game, which they probably won, but all you cared about was how did he do and did he have fun? And you didn't talk about the wins. And I pulled something from that. When you said that, and I had always applied it to, so when I coach, blah, blah, don't talk about that. But even as a parent, as someone who's in Adams Village, the first thing out of your mouth, I think we had gone to St. John's for me to call a game. You might have been scouting something. First thing Coach Turner says is, did you have fun?
Yep.
And that was like, wow.
Yep.
So he's talking the same. You talk the same. All of you successful coaches, the wins will be there, right? You got the hardware. But anyway, What do you think, Coach Kelly?
Unbelievable guest, and just love his message in reference to, his own personal character, the things that he cares about in terms of the loving his players. But the thing that stuck out to me the most is that I'm glad to hear another coach,
The depression part.
talking about the mental health.
I knew that lit you up, right?
Yeah, that lit you up.
And it's something we're not talking enough about, and it needs to be really talked about a lot more. So I'm glad to hear there's another coach out there feeling the same way that I do. And definitely appreciated him coming on and being with us today.
The tough part about what you mentioned with the mental health, Steve, is I'm with you 100% there. What concerns me is that, we're here today, society. The effects that this is having on the kids, while we can see some of it now, might not happen till next year or the next year. Right. And people they can't see that, so they're not worried about it.
My biggest fear from it is the kids who you have underneath your umbrella, and then they're gone from your village to another village, and is someone there?
They might miss it, right?
Missing it, figuring out how to manage it, even seeing it. That's something that scares me.
Right, because when it's too late, it's too late.
Yes.
We've got to dive into what makes these young people tick, and as is his philosophy, you are not lacrosse. All of your kids are not they're not just basketball players. They're young men who, once again, I'm a broken record, many of them will not play in the pros.
Right.
So who are they beyond basketball, and how are we building those young men?
Yep, they're more than the labels on their TikTok or their Instagram, where it's Calvert Hall Lacrosse and then whatever college they go. I mean, these kids are so much more, and coaches, the successful ones like Bryan, diving deep and showing just how tough they are, how smart they are, how successful. I love the part of just going to watch to the theater to watch the kids in the play. And it's,
I mean, I'm always laughing at through the recruiting process for any kid, and not in a way to laugh at them or laugh at their families, but when they're so in tune to counting how many offers there are. Well, you can only pick one school.
Right.
But they got 16 offers, though.
You can only pick one school. You're going to pick one school. And so why that has to be so important to them. Let's hope that one school is the school and the right school. That would be what I think they should be more concerned with, and how that school will fit their child and hopefully set them up for the rest of their life.
Coach Bryan Kelly, we picked another winner there.
Good luck this spring, Coach.
I'm so glad that we brought him on. I think that, I'll tell you, this season, too, for me, I'm really starting to see the full width of lacrosse and how it's, you guys have always talked about it similar to basketball. And, I'm just a basketball mind, but I'm so glad that we're giving lacrosse a good bit of shine on our show.
Appreciate it.
Glad we're bringing in these wonderful coaches, and we welcome more lacrosse coaches. If you're out there listening, we want you on the show, on the podcast.
We'll get some West Coast guys, maybe.
Let's do it. We're coming right back with our weekly sports wrap-up. DJ Krissy, let's do it. Connect with us socially on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, on YouTube, just search Turner and O'Neill, then subscribe. And of course, you can visit our website at www.turnerandO'Neill.com. Today's episode is sponsored by Ray P. Cruz, Mortgages Intelligently.
Since 1939, the Collins family has served families of Montgomery County and Greater Washington with dignified professional service in their time of need. We continue the same family tradition today at our funeral home located just off the Beltway in Silver Spring, Maryland. Our family of experienced funeral directors stand ready to assist you around the clock, 365 days a year. Whether you wish to pre-plan or you have experienced a loss, please contact us to discuss how we can assist you at your time of need. Call 301-593-9500 or visit collinsfuneralhome.com.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill can be found on more than 15 podcast platforms. Listen to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Spotify, and other popular podcast platforms. Tune in on your preferred podcast platform. Be sure to listen, subscribe, and spread the word. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill records weekly with episode drops each Thursday at 11 a.m.
At Peace Players, we use the power of sport to unite, educate, and inspire young people to create a more peaceful world. We offer sport programming, peace education, and leadership development to those living in communities in conflict. We challenge the hate that is driven by the fear of our differences. We bridge divides between people through the game of basketball, and we develop young leaders who help to change perceptions. Find out more at www.peaceplayers.org.
Insurance Alliance Group manages the gap between damage appraisal estimates from your insurance company and what you are rightfully owed based on your policy. They work on behalf of policyholders with claim assistance and disputes to maximize claims. Insurance Alliance Group serves as professional advisors and trusted advocates. The Insurance Alliance Group handles business and home property loss. Request a free claim review with the property loss professionals. Insurance Alliance Group. Visit us at insurancealliancegroup.com or call 866-574-4773.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill.
Welcome back to Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill. This week's episode is brought to you by Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Now, our weekly sports wrap-up. Georgetown captures the Big East title. I wonder if they're asking Big Pat Ewing for his ID still.
Yes.
Man's got his jersey in the rafters.
I thought the coolest thing of that was he did it in his house.
Right. Keep it going.
And then he did it on the day that his I'm going to call him his pops.
Right.
Was hired
49 years
by
ago.
Georgetown.
In 1972.
That's unbelievable.
49 years.
That's special. And the way that they did it, I someone said this, so this is not me saying these weren't my thoughts, but when they said it and listening to his interviews, I totally agree. He took all the pressure off his team. The comments about being asked for his ID, he made everything be somewhat about him, which I think lightened the load of his players, and they got to play with that attitude of we got everything to win and nothing to lose, and they played defense to me like an old John Thompson Georgetown basketball team,
right.
And Creighton is a damn good team, and for them to defend them like the way that they did, man, hats off and congrats to Coach Ewing and his team.
They scored like 20-something in the first half.
Man, I mean, they were clicking. It was a beautiful thing to watch.
You know, with the Hoyas, I bet you at some point leading up to the Big East tournament, there was some behind the scenes, but closed door, heart to heart talks, man to man. Coached man to man. Because the season clearly hasn't been what they wanted, what they've been through, and ups and downs.
He lost some key players.
Of course, key players leaving, just all sorts of different things that you never want programs or kids to have to deal with. But they had nothing to lose, and you made a great point. Just to go in there to his house and look, it awoke a fan base, because I saw a lot of chatter on Facebook and Twitter from Hoya graduates or people that love the Hoyas, because Georgetown, I think of Georgetown basketball, we think of the 80s, and we think of John Thompson,
84,
you think
85.
of Alonzo Mourning and Patrick Ewing,
Dikembe
Mutombo, and all the players.
Robert Churchwell, Joey Brown.
I mean, before Michigan and Fab Five, Georgetown was the
they had Othello too, right?
Oh yeah,
Othello Harrington.
Come on,
but
you haven't even named the best
you've
ones, though.
you've slightly started to spark this
Reggie
fire.
and the Miracles.
And if they make a run in this tournament coming up, I mean that fire is gonna. I mean, if them and Maryland make a run,
Sleepy Floyd.
this town needs it.
Eric.
This town loves college hoops.
We love our Hoyas. So for me, there were a couple things. There may have been a few fans, I don't know, but I could clearly hear Pat barking out orders saying, slow down, slow down, slow down.
Move it, move it,
right,
move
right.
it.
I can hear it, and I'm like,
drive him.
But first of all,
Doesn't he look like he's having fun though?
He is.
And you
He
never
is.
saw that much from him before. I mean,
look, I came back from, I told you we were doing that open house, and the first thing I saw when I turned on the TV is his big man, whose name I don't know. I watch more women's, y'all know that. He pulled a dream shake. Did you see that one? He pulled a dream shake, and I think he shot it. Something went wrong. He got a rebound. He pulled a dream shake, and he sunk a basket. But my favorite moment, was it Kellogg calling the game?
I don't remember who was calling the game.
I think it was Kellogg calling the game. I really do.
ooh, that's another good announcer, by the way.
Well, you said that earlier, didn't you?
my favorite.
You said it. Who does it also? Who does the Hoy? I think it was Kellogg, but I could be wrong.
Hoys win. Hoys
He
win.
said,
Hoys win.
for
Hoys
the
win.
first
Hoys
time-
Win. Hoys win. Sorry.
For the first time since 2007, the Georgetown Hoyas are Big East champions. Coach Thompson, I know you're looking down, and your boys did it. Your boy did it, is what he said.
Yeah.
And that's his boy, Patrick, and that made me very happy. I had the blue sweatshirt, the gray letters, and the bulldog. And Paula from Western New York, she had a Georgetown Hoya sweatshirt. So, back in the 80s, everyone had a Georgetown Hoya sweatshirt. Gentlemen, March Madness. Krissy, you could turn off my microphone. Gentlemen, have at it.
Go ahead, Coach. Who you got?
I got the bracket right here, folks watching. I haven't completed it yet. I printed it out today.
You got an idea of who you'd like to see in the Final Four.
I've said it before. I'd love to see the Zags go deep outside of any assistant coaches. Well, Maryland and Georgetown going deep, great. I don't think that's going to happen. I'd love to see Gonzaga get there. I saw Coach Few yesterday, and it's his time. I feel like he deserves it. You see the other coaches on there. For some reason, this Loyola Chicago team again, I think, has an opportunity. Now, granted, Georgia Tech is not an easy matchup to go up.
If they can knock off Illinois, forget Tech. If they can get through and get to
that's a dangerous team.
To the city game.
That's a dangerous team.
I don't know if they can knock off Illinois.
It's
that big Kofi, the big fella. Man, I don't know if they have anything to match that brute strength.
Look, I don't like how things went down with Michigan and Maryland. I've been pulling for Michigan all season. I don't like how things went down in that Big Ten semifinal, quarterfinal, whatever it was. But Michigan is too talented and too deep.
Well, they don't have their best player though.
I think the Zags, man. I'm going with the Zags and the Bulldogs. So there you go. I'd like to hear the maestro.
I don't think there is. I don't care what.
I am pissed that it's not Thursday, Friday.
I don't care.
You guys don't care.
This is going to be an interesting tournament, just because of all because of the X factor, COVID. Like you could be here today, gone tomorrow.
Your bracket could be perfect.
Busted.
Here today, gone tomorrow.
Right.
Like you don't know. I mean, we watched it happen just in the conference tournaments. Teams rolling. I mean, Duke was on a way to get in.
How about that? Duke and Kentucky.
Duke was on a way to get in.
Not in.
But they were on a way to get in, and COVID took them out. Yep. They didn't take a loss. COVID took them out. Even though they're going into this bubble, this could still happen. I mean, you got teams right now. Kansas is in, but they're traveling without players.
Yeah.
So you just don't know.
Virginia. What's Virginia?
Virginia's not leaving till the last minute. Like you just don't know. They could
hopefully get all the negatives, right?
Think about it. If they don't get what if they don't, and they have to call in and say, boom, that team they're playing is advancing to the next round because they can't play.
Exactly.
So it's going to be interesting. But if I had to go with who's hot and who's tough, I mean, I got to roll with Zags. I got to roll with Baylor. I got to roll with Illinois. I would have said Michigan, but losing Livers, I think, hurts them tremendously.
Sure.
My dark horse, Houston.
All right. All right.
Not the Clemson Tigers coming out.
No,
my
my dark horse is Houston, and I like Bama and I like Arkansas. They play with some nice swag. I like the way that those two teams play, and for me, Bama's a great story. I mean, former high school coach, all the way up to the top ranks, getting it done in the SEC.
Well, it'd be a lot cooler when we release this episode on a Thursday at 11 than an hour later.
That would be cool.
The tourney was kicking
TV's
off.
on. Let's
We
go.
gotta wait till Friday.
Gus Johnson is who I was thinking about. He called the game.
I mentioned Gus earlier. I didn't know he called that game.
Yeah,
He's the
he
best.
called that game. Gino Auriemma tested positive today, so at least for game one next week, which obviously they're going to get a number one seed. He will not be there. I think the model's in place, so it'll be successful. And again, not to take away from any 16 seeds, but I imagine UConn will probably advance with or without Gino. Boy, they're gonna be tough next year. They got Page this year, and they're getting AZ. My. Let's go rapid fire fashion, gentlemen. As the helicopter is above, we all hear it through our headphones and through these wonderful Audio Technica microphones. Shout out to Audio Technica; they make some good microphones. Rapid fire, gentlemen. Start over here with you, Coach O'Neill. Marvin Hagler passes at the age of 66.
When I was a young fella, Sugar Ray Leonard is technically a local guy because he used to live in the area.
He is.
I rooted for Marvin Hagler for one reason. That name. Marvelous Marvin Hagler. I don't know what it was, but I was a kid. I was like, I just wanted him to win.
He was the one boxer that scared me for Sugar Ray.
Oh, yeah.
What you got on Marvin Hagler, sir?
First of all, may he rest in peace. Sorry to certainly see him go. There's still a cloud over that fight. Many of Sugar Ray Leonard fans will tell you today that Marvin Hagler won that fight.
Right.
So He was unbelievable. I mean, did he have an ounce? Did he have an ounce of fat on his body? He was chiseled,
muscles in his head.
Like he was unbelievable, and had some great fights. He was fun to watch.
Right.
R.I.P. baby.
I'm gonna toss this one up. Whoever wants it, take it. Brady signs 4 more years.
I think he plays 2 of those 4. That's just what I'm guessing. He's paid for 4 years because of what he did in 1 year.
And they want to spread out that
Tampa
money.
Bay. Mm-hmm. And, that's it. I think he plays 2 years. I don't think he goes 4 more years. That's my prediction.
Got something on that?
I don't have anything on it.
Toss up. New York Islanders undefeated in their last 10. They're playing good hockey right now.
That's great. But I would rather, and I've seen this dance and song from the Washington Capitals and other, programs like the Nats locally.
I think the Caps are 9-1 in their last 10.
The Caps have been fine too. You want to peak. You want to be going on this run in May.
6 more weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. The ACC will now allow in-conference transfers with immediate eligibility. Toss up.
You guys know where I stand on this. NCAA, now ACC Board of Trustees, you guys are screwing the high school athlete, and it's sad to watch.
I was going to say that. No, this is crazy. But in COVID,
you have. I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Don't be mad that I'm cutting you off. But
it's
you have set up a system that the rich are going to get richer. The rich are going to start poaching from each other's teams. People were upset. Juwan Howard and Coach Turgeon arguing with each other on the sidelines. It's going to get nastier when teams are now getting in kids' DMs and recruiting them right out of their own programs in the same conference. It's stupid.
So we're almost there. You guys are under 500. Come this way. You can play right away.
It's stupid.
That's what's going to happen,
You're
right?
going to have kids chasing the dream, and it's
All right.
And then one more thing. I'm sorry.
Please.
You guys got me fired up.
Speak on it, baby.
And watch out for all the handlers and the runners, because they're going to be the first ones. You guys say you had problems with coaches taking money and stuff. Watch out for the street agents, because it's going to get worse.
What do we expect from the DCSAA this week? They got a couple. They're on the clock, right?
She made an announcement today.
Yep.
But
you know more than I do. I'm sorry.
We're waiting to get the official. I think Coach O'Neill is going to be able to get back on his field soon.
Our own field in the District of Columbia outside, but no games yet. But we think it's getting closer and closer.
But that and it sounds like, talking to the people on the board, our indoor sport, who they feel like is still a high risk. We still may be able to get back in and at least start doing some workouts. So that would be important, and that would be good around this time of year.
Shout out Season 2, Episode 1 guest, Mr. Mike Hunter, head coach, has been very adamant and in the front lines, Friendship Collegiate, pushing to get these athletes out there. Bryan Kelly talked about it, the depression and the kids. They've got to figure out a way to get these. So great news today, just to get on the fields.
DJ Krissy, let's hear from our advertisers. Take it to yo with Turner and O'Neill. We'd like to thank our partners, sponsors, and donors. Our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, Collins Funeral Home, and Peace Players International. Our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, and Body and Beyond Wellness.
Become a friend of the program. Friendship contributions start at just $25. Each contribution helps to fuel Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill. To find out more or make your contribution, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Become a Friend. The final word is brought to you by
Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. With a stellar reputation as an outstanding mortgage lender, Ray Cruz serves the lending needs of real estate professionals, builders, and individual home buyers in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Texas, California, Florida, Illinois, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Ray believes that integrity is the cornerstone of his business, and helping you achieve your home financing goals is his business. Located in the heart of Bethesda, Maryland, contact Ray P. Cruz today to get started. Your home mortgage or refinance options await. Call 301-761-3700 888-888-2278 or visit raypcruise.com. Ray P. Cruz, mortgages intelligently.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill.
During the break, I found something out. If you have a spider on your shoulder,
Coach Turner.
Coach Turner is going to sit there and watch it. Nah, he didn't.
He didn't even have a spider on his shoulder.
I thought we had a spider. Well, Coach O'Neill thought I had a spider.
What we
on my
found
shoulder.
out is that Kurtis is scared of bugs.
Oh, I'm definitely
The
scared of
guy
bugs.
who loves to be outside,
Steve,
likes
Steve,
to be out there with
Steve.
nature. He
Yes.
doesn't like bugs.
Steve,
Oh,
what
no,
is
I don't
that?
like bugs at all, no.
Steve, what is that?
No. I got the creepy crawlies. What we also found out is that all of us, or both of us now, our kids have finished trimester 2, and I'm very happy with report cards that I saw. I think I spoke to you maybe a week or more ago, and I think you were very happy.
Yeah, Jared killed it again.
Yes. My daughter thought she did not do as well as she actually did. I'm most proud. She got a 97 in Spanish. I mean, she did well in chorus. She did well in theater. She did well in her basketball unit. I'm cool with all that. She got a 97 in Spanish, so I'm happy with that.
Bueno.
So for all kids who are listening, please make the grade because we want you to be finer young people of character than we want you to be athletes. All right. We invite you to become a friend of the program. To do so, go to www.turnerandoneal.com and click Become a Friend. You can build your brand with our audience of thousands. We are now accepting partners, donors, and sponsors for Season 3. Don't tell us we didn't let you know. For as little as $25 per episode, your business can advertise with us each week. You're getting coverage on 15 different podcast platforms, on some of our sister and brother podcasts, on YouTube.
Yep.
You're getting Instagram, you're getting Twitter, you're getting Facebook. Just today, we dropped a sponsor links today on our Instagram because we're giving love to our sponsors who believe in our product. We believe in theirs. To connect with us socially, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast and on Twitter at Turn On Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get the episode drop alerts. Like at 11 a.m. when the episode drops, bam, it comes right to your phone. Now, when it comes to where you can listen, we've got you covered. Listen and subscribe on Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcast content. Just search Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You will get those drops. We encourage you to join the conversation as we are a growing community here at Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill. So write to us at turnero'neillpodcast@gmail.com. We answer those emails. We might get some of your questions on the show. If you want to know why Coach Hollywood is so darn good looking, just email us. We'll let you know. We will let you know. Before we sign off, thanks to our audience who supplied Coach O'Neill with his buttless chaps. We are truly humbled that you knew what size he wore, but please don't send any more buttless chaps for Coach O'Neill. I must thank our engineer, DJ Krissy. I must thank you two gentlemen, Coach Turner and O'Neill, as well as Paula. Thanks to our donors, sponsors, and partners. We encourage our audience to support those who support us. Krissy, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah.
Are you still on the bug on my shoulder?
Bugs, buttless chaps.
That's the one. That's the one right there. When Krissy laughs, she loses it. She doesn't do just a little bit of laughing.
What's so funny about buttless chaps, Krissy?
I don't know. But
The fact that somebody's bringing them into you is hilarious.
Oh, they are? Good.
Yeah.
Shall we?
he's a size 34 extra medium.
I've gone down a little bit. They're extra meat. Whoa.
He's a 32 extra medium.
Come on, man. Come on.
Coach O'Neill, any final thoughts?
TMI.
Thank you to Coach Bryan Kelly, best in the biz. Thank you to you, DJ Krissy, laughing those chaps off.
Yeah, she is.
Look, that's good. No, thank you to Coach Kelly. Good luck to him this season at MIAA. They're getting started. We're getting started pretty soon here, too. To everybody, this week, enjoy the March Madness. Celebrate St. Patrick's Day wisely. New Year's Eve, St. Patrick's Day, amateur hour. Just enjoy it.
Right.
Just enjoy it. I know my daughters are excited for St. Patrick's Day coming up. She's got a little leprechaun cage that she's going to try to catch some.
Okay.
And my beard comes off on St. Patrick's Day, folks. So next time you see me on
We're going to see a
this
new
camera,
Coach O'Neill.
beard is gone.
All
Great
right.
episode. Appreciate
Coach
it.
Turner, any final thoughts before your quote, sir?
No final thoughts. I think another great episode. I loved our guest. I love the things that he spoke about today. I love to see DJ Krissy in here laughing and having a good time and enjoying this bromance that continues to go on.
Absolutely.
Hey, I told you about the bug on your shoulder.
You
Steve
did. You're looking out.
Nor did Krissy.
You're looking out.
I
It was
almost
not a
jumped
bug.
over the table. It looked like a stink. Whoop, just dropped on his.
Steve,
It was a piece of my headphones ripped off, or some of the material, and it's on my shoulder.
make sure that the video
That was-
shows what happened. Don't let them cut that off.
You weren't going to save me from a brown recluse. It was a brown recluse spider.
Yeah.
My shoulder feels like I got a shot of Novocaine in it now because you didn't save me. Just one flick. I just wanted you to flick it off my shoulder, Coach.
I had my headphones on. I didn't even hear what the hell y'all were talking about.
All right. I just know that if I'm in the wild and a brown recluse comes up, Coach Turner's
I will
going to.
knock it off your shoulder.
My man.
I promise.
Blazers, do it. All right.
Yes, sir.
Your quote, sir.
A little more of a statement than a quote, I would guess. It's a little long, but it's about accountability. Accountability is essential to personal growth as well as team growth. How can you improve if you're never wrong? If you don't admit to a mistake and take responsibility for it, you're bound to make the same one again. Don't let the fingers keep pointing at you when you point them at somebody else. Hold yourself accountable.
DJ Krissy, pull the plug.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our advertisers. Our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, Collins Funeral Home, and Peace Players International. Our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, Body and Beyond Wellness, and Justin O'Neill. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy. All material is the exclusive property of the podcast and may not be copied, rebroadcast, or used in any way without the written consent of the podcast. The views, ideas, and commentary of podcast guests are solely their own and not necessarily endorsed by the podcast. You may submit questions, podcast ideas, and commentary to turnero'neillpodcast@gmail.com. No compensation is offered for submitted material. Should we choose to use your idea, comment, or question, you agree to your likeness, social media identity, and/or information being used on the podcast. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is recorded weekly and distributed via Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more than 15 podcast platforms in total. You can also view Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill weekly on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest episode drops. Some portions of the podcast may be pre-recorded. Join us socially on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube. Search Turner and O'Neill and subscribe. Our website is www.turnerando'neill.com. Advertising opportunities are available.